Welcome to the Anarchist podcast, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the videos that the YoungTurks put out. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, the YoungTurks is one of my most hated YouTube channels on the internet. I can't stand the left-wing propaganda that these people put out. I do subscribe to them just so that I can subscribe to my opposition, to understand what I am fighting against, to understand the majority of what the sheep will think. And it almost is like listening to nails on a chalkboard, and it's just a struggle to get through a lot of the videos that they put out. But I'm going to go through this one with you guys today just to point out the insanity of the agenda that these people push through the YoungTurks, the completely irrational way of thinking. And in particular, this video is going to be talking about the transgender bathroom issue, because here in socialist Canada, where I'm from, recently we have just passed into law transgender laws on the books now that state that a man who doesn't even went through the sex change, so completely still a man, has a penis, in a dress, thinks he's a female, well, now in Canada, it's discrimination to not allow that man to go into the female's bathroom. And this is passed, this law that was passed in Canada goes right into schools as well. So this is children. This could be 12-year-old boys pretending he wants to be a girl. You have to let him in the girls' bathroom as well. It's ridiculous, the absurdity that this will lead to an increase in sexual assaults and violence against women in the bathroom. All this other shit that'll obviously result in this stuff. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be more creeps in the women's bathroom. And as a woman, you should definitely want to fight back against this stuff. And the fact that I have to do a podcast and come out on the radio waves and say that, we should have men use men bathrooms and women use women bathrooms, that is radical thought in today's society, shows how upside down a society we're living in today. So let's play the video for you guys today, and I will give you my commentary and feedback as well through the video. So here's Anna with the YoungTurks, and let's hear what the YoungTurks has to say on the issue regarding transgenders using bathrooms.
A lawmaker in the state of Virginia wants to ensure that people who are transgender do not go into any bathroom that they wish to go into. In fact, their genitalia should determine which bathroom they go to. Again, new year, same old tired argument by conservatives who are paranoid about people using bathrooms.
Do you see what this woman just said, Anna? We're paranoid, same old conservative agenda, trying to make men use men bathrooms and women use women bathrooms. The fact that she says it with such a straight face, so calm and cool, and such as if she believes it, is really fucking scary to me. That, to me, when I hear the fact that a lawmaker wants to make it so that if you have a penis, you use the male's bathroom, if you have a vagina, you use the female's bathroom, that seems like a really reasonable, common sense approach. Now, the lawmaker wants to make it that there's a $50 fine if a male tries to go in the female's bathroom and he's not a female. Now, do I agree with the fact that the state is getting involved in this? Do I agree with the fact that the state will profit $50 fine from this? No, obviously I do not like any kind of power given to the state. Government cannot do anything successfully anyway. Obviously, if you're listening to the Anarchist podcast, you know my thoughts on government. But in a libertarian society, I think we would still have things such as private property rights, and businesses would want to do things such as this lawmaker having. They don't want women to come in and come to their place of business, and use the bathroom there and be having to worry about some creep in a skirt, man in a skirt, pissing beside them in the stalls and whatnot. So I can completely understand why a business would want to have a rule in place like this to make sure his customers feel comfortable in the bathrooms. Now, I'd also like to point out that isn't it very strange that the percentage of population that self-describes as a transsexual, even the homosexuality, is only a couple percentage points. Let's even give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say some polls say 1 to 2%, some say as much as 5 to 6% of the population is gay. So let's just even be generous and say that 3% of the population is gay. Now you got to take into account what if that 3% is actually transsexual. That would mean it would be even smaller and smaller a point. Some studies and surveys have put it to less than a percentage point, less than 1%. So let's say that less than 1%, let's even be generous and say 1% of the population is transsexual. 50% of the population is female. Why should we force 50% of the population as females to be uncomfortable in the bathroom with these 1% so they can feel comfortable? Because people will say, well, we don't want to make the transsexuals feel uncomfortable for which bathroom they have to use. So this is why we need to pass these rules and regulations to make them so they don't feel uncomfortable. But in the same breath, we'll look past the rights of the woman who feels uncomfortable pissing beside someone who clearly looks like a man and who has a penis between his legs. And not to mention the possibility that this law will open up to creeps and stuff using it to their advantages to do things like voyeurism and to peek at girls and to do sick and twisted things that a lot of these people would do, because a lot of these transsexuals have mental health issues. The whole transsexual thing to begin with is a mental health issue. Now, we're not talking about hermaphrodites here. This is another thing that gets people mixed up. If there is a man or a woman, a hermaphrodite, if you were born and between your legs you have also a pussy and balls, or whatever the situation may be, a pussy and a dick, or whatever the situation, those hermaphrodite situations. And I do feel very terrible for people born with those abnormalities between their legs. I could see where someone who's a hermaphrodite may be confused as to which sex they were, because when they look between their legs, they have both appendages. But we're talking about a totally different thing. We're talking about transgenderism, identity disorder, people who are a man, who are biologically a man, who, if you were to bury them in the ground, 100 years in the future, scientists and archaeologists dug their bones up, would 100% be able to tell that that is a man in the ground. That is not transgender. They wouldn't be able to pull them up and say, looking at their bones and their skull, they wouldn't be able to say, well, this person was a man, but they also in their brain thought that they were a female. You wouldn't be able to prove that from analyzing their bones in the dirt 100 years in the future. It's ridiculous. And this is how also we know that transgenderism is a mental health issue, and it's been a mental health issue in the scientific books, in the psychiatric books, since the beginning of the founding of the disorder. It's only until recently now that people want to try to blur the lines and trying to change it from being a disorder to being a normal way of life. And that is ridiculous, because we all can accept that an anorexic person, a person who looks into the mirror, who his ribs are showing, who is dying from malnutrition, who is not eating enough, who has a disorder called anorexia, and who thinks in their brain that they are fat, is why they run to the toilet after every meal and throw up because they are scared to gain weight, but yet in the mirror they are skin and bones. We all can accept that a person looking in the mirror who is skinny, who thinks that they're fat, has a mental disorder. There's also a disorder called next of kin, where people actually take the furries to the next example. So, furries dress up in animal costume and role play fantasies and stuff like that, whatever. But there is also a disorder where people actually think that they are an animal. So some people actually think that they're a fox, think that they're a cat, think that they're a dog, and this is this next of kin disorder. And this is another disorder. We can agree that someone who thinks they're a fox and they're human is fucked up in the brain. We can agree that someone who's skinny, who thinks that they're fat, has got a fucked up brain problem. But we look at the issue of a man who thinks he's a woman, or a woman who thinks they're a man, and we're like, oh, normal. No, it's a mental health issue, the exact same issue as an anorexic person and a next of kin person. They have an issue of the brain. They need not surgery, but a counselor. So let's continue with the Young Turks, trying to push abnormal, dysfunctional behavior as normal behavior, and trying to push these weirdos into the women's bathroom. So let's continue on with Anna's discussing of this.
Using bathrooms. Okay, so House Bill 663, proposed by Delegate Mark Cole of the state's House of Representatives, defines anatomical sex as the physical condition of being male or female, which is determined by a person's anatomy. It would require all restrooms on property owned or leased by the state solely be used by individuals whose anatomical sex matches their gender designation. Now, those who violate this proposed law, if it becomes law, would have to pay a $50 fine, okay? Here's the thing, though. How do you enforce a law like that?
How do you enforce a law like that? Well, let's see, Anna. How would you enforce a law? Well, I'm pretty sure that, those trannies that look like a man. See, the ones who look like a man, who have the Adam's apple, who aren't fooling nobody, and we've all seen them out in public, who still have not went through all the plastic surgery and all the other bullshit they go through to make them try to look like a female. Anna wants to know, how are we going to be able to tell? There's ones that you can clearly tell. There's ones that hey, that's a man in a dress. That ain't someone fooling nobody. You can see by his jawline, by his upper body shoulders being extra wide, and his muscles and his biceps bulging. That ain't no fucking female. So for Anna to say, well, how the hell are we going to be able to keep track of that? The whole reason behind the idea is so women don't feel uncomfortable in the bathroom with a man. If there's a tranny who has went through so much sexual reproduction or went through so much surgery and procedures down below to change that man to look like a woman, and it looks so passable that you couldn't even tell the difference passing him on the street, then I'm probably sure that if that person just goes in and takes a little tinkle beside a woman on a toilet, because they look so passable as a woman, the woman will never know the difference, and she'll never feel uncomfortable. This rule is in place because it's for the ones who clearly look like a male, who are the ones with the mental health issues, who are the ones who are sitting there with a beard and a dress and a cock out, pissing in the woman's bathroom. It's just disturbing that Anna can actually say, well, how would we even be able to determine this situation? And also the senator who proposed this bill, I think, is being extremely generous, because he didn't say that he specifically put in the law that it'll be determined by the appendage between your legs. So he's even saying that if a male wants to go through a procedure like Jenner did and have your cock chopped off, and you no longer have a penis and you have an inverted vagina, you've now went through the procedure, and you now have a vagina and not a penis, but you're still a male down to your chromosomes, by the reading of this law, you would be fine. So I think he's being pretty damn generous in saying that, hey, if you got a penis, use the male's bathroom. If you got a vagina, use the female's. And the fact that Young Turks want to make this argument and to make this lawmaker and to be out to a kook and to make him out to be a crazy person for proposing such rational behavior shows the insanity of the propaganda that the Young Turks push. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that they want to allow men with penises and women to be in the male's bathroom. It's very disturbing. So let's continue on with the rest of this video.
This to also be applied to children going to public schools in the state. So do you want, administrators or educators to check their genitalia and make sure they're okay before
Really, Anna? You think that administrators don't know the sex of children? When you sign up, when you go to kindergarten, when you start and enroll in school, one of the first things they ask you is they get to sign out paperwork, and they want your ID, your identification. They want to know what year you were born, what sex you were born. So I'm pretty sure everyone in the school, the teachers know who are the boys and who are the females. There's not going to be no confusion, Anna. There's not going to be teachers sitting outside the kids' bathroom making sure to check their pants to make sure that everyone goes into the right bathroom. I don't think so. It's absurd that this is the line of thinking that Anna honestly believes that a school would not be able to tell who's the boys and who's the girls. Are you that crazy, Anna? Is this the shit that you believe? Or are you just pushing an agenda? I hope that they're just pushing an agenda and they don't actually believe these things, because if they do, this is very, very scary how stupid and irrational Anna and Sank think. So let's continue with the video.
Go into the designated bathrooms and just let it go. Let it go. I'm sure Virginia's dealing with other issues right now.
Look, the proposal is all balls out. I mean, it is really ballsy. It is balls to the wall. Okay.
I didn't know if you were being intentional with your puns. I guess you were.
All right. Really, you're going to check people's junk? That's what you're going to do?
The senator never said he's going to check anyone's junk, Sank. All we're saying is the really obvious ones. Sure, there will be ones that slip under the radar. And never once did he propose in the bill that also we're going to have to check your pants to assure this. But like what I just said, Shank, if you have a tranny who's a male who's converted to a female and he's done so much plastic surgery that you can no longer tell the difference passing him in the street, then a woman probably is not going to matter. The issue is raised when the woman feels uncomfortable because he clearly looks like a man and he is a man. So stop trying to blur the lines. Stop trying to make this abnormal behavior out to be a norm thing and that we should just, how dare you, and just allow these mental cases into women's bathrooms. Not to mention the fact that transgenderism and identity disorder is a mental health issue. So then you're going and sending a bunch of people with mental health issues into women's bathrooms. It just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. It just seems like an area that you're going to open up to pervs and degenerates and sickos and weirdos and all that stuff. It's just going to open up the risk of women being assaulted and in these terrible situations that you put them in these bathrooms. Not to mention the repercussions of the kids. Of how you're going to try to explain to these young kindergarten through whatever grades, these young children, that how do you explain that? How come Jack now is able to become Susie and go into the girl's bathroom because he woke up today feeling a little sad and he wanted to be a girl? Doesn't work like that. This is blurring the lines in nature. And it's trying to make things upside down. It's trying to make things irrational. And if this type of shit is allowed to pass, it's only going to result in, like I said, devastation and bad things result out of it. It's not going to be any good. So I'm just going to finish up this video with YoungTurks. 17 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up soon. So
that's the thing. These guys, I know some of them really are like, they live in fear and they're like, oh my God, is somebody going to check out me? Dude, nobody's checking you out. I saw your picture. Nobody's checking you out, right? Oh my God, they're going to come for my kids and stuff. I don't know. Okay, some of them are perverts. And they're like, and do we have to check all their genitalia? Okay? Fine, I volunteer. Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think this guy's actually going to be in the bathroom looking through balls.
I don't even think, but here's the thing, I don't even think that he's really thought this through. I mean, the law doesn't imply that they have to do genitalia checks, but how do you enforce this? I mean, that's really the only way you would enforce something like this. And also, like, what do? You call the cops and you like tell the cops, like, oh my God, the wrong person is using the wrong bathroom? And what world do we live in where people think that there's like all this sexual stuff happening in a place where people are taking a dump? Right? Like, I don't know, maybe some people are into that.
Well, actually, that's not true. Sometimes people do have sex in the bathroom.
Yes, I know about that.
Okay, but they're in the same...
Well, Anna, you're like, well, where are all these sexual assaults happening in bathrooms? Well, Hannah, for the longest time in history, we've had it so that, yeah, if men went into the women's bathroom, it was looked down on. They were looked at and shunned. They were like, what are you doing? You're in the wrong bathroom. So that's probably why sexual assaults in the bathrooms have been down and why you haven't heard many, and there has been incidences. Like she plays out, there has been none. There has been, but there's, like she says, there has been not that many. But I tell you one thing, if you go and pass a law allowing a bunch of these sick mental cases into the girls' bathrooms, then you're going to see the rise in it. And only people making the argument that I'm coming from is you may not see the rise, or you may not see the sexual assaults right now because you're not seeing a bunch of sickos in the girls' bathroom. But if you go and let them into the bathroom, you're going to see the rise in the things that you just seen. Well, we don't see this happening, so why is there an issue? If you pass this law, you will see it.
Same gender bathroom usually, 9 out of 10 times.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, generally speaking, that's what happens. Yes, that's how the guy from Wham got caught, George Michael, with another guy in the guy's bathroom. Okay, it's too bad there wasn't a cock cop there. Actually there was, and that's how they caught him. So, look, I know that this guy, when he proposed this, he didn't really think it through. He was a little cocky on his part.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Alright guys, I'm going to wrap the video up there. I cannot watch, like I said, nails on a chalkboard listening to YoungTurks. Ridiculous. You get the basis and the premises of this video. That this is what they're trying to push in our culture nowadays. They're trying to make degenerate, abnormal behavior normal behavior. And people are like, well, why? What's the big deal? What's the agenda behind it? What's the goal with this? Why did the rulers and why does government get behind these things? And it's very simple. If you have a bunch of men who are thinking that they're women, and you promote degenerate behaviors, and you promote feminizing of men, well, I'll tell you one thing. When the governments get too corrupt, and we have civil wars, and people revolt and try to get their freedoms back and stuff, well, people who fight for freedom are not people with mental health issues, are not people with mental disorders, are not people who don't understand what sex they are. They're not people who stand and fight for freedom, and we're going to need to stand and fight in the future when the government gets to that point. You are going to need strong, masculine men. The people who founded America, the people who fought in the revolution in 1776, who founded this country, and through all out history, who have founded and fought and established freedom and fought back tyranny and kept freedom around, were strong, masculine men. And if you're an elite, and if you're a government and you're a ruling class, the last thing you want is a bunch of strong, masculine men who could throw off your power. So the government has a huge agenda to promote demasculation of men and feminization of men and degeneracy and all these terrible, disgusting behaviors and disorders. Because if a person battling with a mental disorder can't battle with the thought of freedom and government because they got their own problems and their own mental health issues to deal with. It's all about tearing down the family, tearing down men, tearing down masculinity, so there's no resistance to authority. Because one of the major resistors to authority in nature is men. Throughout history, we have fought the wars for freedom. So that's what it's all about. It's all about tearing down men so there's no resistance. You better be aware of it and conscious of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And hopefully all this shit in Canada in regards to these transgender bathrooms gets sorted out. Hopefully the conservatives and the right and the libertarians stand up and demand our rights to be respected again and push off this left-wing agenda, this threat to our humanity, our threat to our future and our freedoms. It starts out as something as simple as gender bathrooms. But the repercussions of where all this leads to down the road is total human destruction. So please share this message, get these videos out there, like, subscribe if you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you guys in my next videos. Hope you guys enjoyed the Anarchist podcast. See you guys later.